Welcome to Team Kings, showcasing team spirit at Kings High School. And with us right now, 3 members of the state championship winning Kings girls soccer team. We have on the end the junior Sarah Nielsen, and then the 2 seniors, Emma Fleming and Katie Stella. Ladies, congratulations. First state championship for the girls soccer program in the history of the school. Katie, I've got to think that's just a huge thrill.
It's so amazing. I can't even believe it still.
It's been a couple of weeks already. Emma, has it kind of sunk in yet that you're a state champion? Obviously, you got the sweatshirts on, so you know it has. But what's it been like?
I feel like it's just not gonna quite sink in yet. It's just like so. I don't know. It was just so amazing that like we got to share this with each other, but it was like really unexpected and it's just such a good reminder every day that we go to school.
And Sarah, talking about being reminded at school, it sounds like there was a nice little celebration for this too. Talk a little bit about what happened with the soccer team and the state championship winning volleyball team in terms of how they honored you at the school.
So at school there was a big like parade type thing. We went through the elementary, and we also got like a little assembly type thing where they honored the volleyball team and the soccer team, which was really fun.
Very nice. And I guess the elementary school kids kind of all thought it was a pretty big deal, right? Are you more or less celebrities when you go to the elementary school now, state champions? Is it? How did they make you feel when you were at the school, Emma?
It was really sweet because we walked through the parade and me and Katie were holding the trophy, and so many of the little elementary kids had like signs that said like congratulations, or like they would like run up and touch the trophy, and they got so excited. It was really fun to watch.
Something for the elementary kids to shoot for when they get up to Kings one of these days. Hey, this is a program that has come close so many times. The number of opportunities and appearances at the semifinals and in state championship games in the past. Katie, as a senior, were you starting to kind of wonder if was it ever going to happen? I mean, what were the mentality and what was the mindset going into the year? You only have 3 seniors on the entire team, and 2 of them are sitting here at the table. Were you thinking that maybe you were part of a rebuilding program and that maybe you weren't going to get a chance to win a state championship?
I mean, yeah, that's kind of how I felt at the beginning of the season. I didn't really have any expectations for this team, I guess. I was just kind of like, okay, let's go out and play and do our best. I didn't think we were even going to like make it to state, let alone win.
And they finally made it. Emma, what about you during the regular season? I know this isn't exactly a team that went undefeated. You had your struggles at times, more losses than you probably wanted going into the district tournament. What was the mentality going into the state finals? When you looked at the brackets and you saw teams in there that you'd already lost to this year, were you thinking, hey, we can bring this together and make a run at the right time? Or were you a little bit concerned at that point?
I think towards the end, we just like let go of all concerns. The whole team, like we got together and we're like, it was like halfway through this season where we were like, okay, we can actually do this. Like we can win state if we set our minds to it. We can actually do it. And then when we finally got to the semis and finals, we just really focused on playing for each other and playing for God. And I think that our hard work is what got us so far, and the girls' and attitudes on the team is what got us so far.
Was there an element of revenge when you got to the semifinals? Because I know, Sarah, you get to the semis and there's Seattle Academy waiting for you. They beat you by 3 goals earlier this year. Was it exciting? Did you want to see them in the bracket, or were you kind of thinking, it didn't go well the first time? I don't know.
I think we were excited to meet them again. We were ready to come at them, and we had been practicing for a while, and I think we just kind of had a feeling that we were going to make it to the state finals by beating them. So, yeah, I think we were ready to face them in the semifinals.
2-0 victory over them, and then you go to the state championship game against Cascade, and once again, a team that beat you by 3 goals during the first part of the season. Katie, the team's down 1-0, less than 8 minutes to go in the game, and all of a sudden you score the tying goal that sent it into overtime. Take me through that play. I mean, at that moment, I think a lot of us in the stands were thinking, Kings is maybe getting ready for another second-place trophy, and then you decided to do something about that.
Well, I mean, there were multiple times throughout the season that we were down by a goal or 2, and we would always come back from it. So once we got that 1 goal scored on us, for a second I was worried, but then I'm like, wait. I went back and remembered those past couple games that, like, we came back and won, and I just stopped worrying. I'm like, we can do this. Like, we're a good enough team. We can do this. So, I don't know. Do you remember what, like, that play?
I remember it was served into the box, and then like there was a touch up or something, and like your back was faced to the goal, and then you like brought it around and volleyed it in. But it doesn't.
See, I didn't know.
It's interesting that you'd score the biggest goal in your life, I would think, at that point, and yet adrenaline must just be taking over because you really don't even remember the play very well. I mean, is that kind of how it is when you're in Emma, maybe you can respond to that too. When you're in that state championship mode, when you're in a game of that magnitude, is it just kind of all a blur at that point, or how are you? How is it in the moment, so to speak?
I feel like in the moment, like, it really just doesn't matter how you do it. You just got to get the ball into the back of the net, and then once you do, like, that's all that matters, is that we were tied 1-1, and we got a goal. And then I just remember, like, rushing to Katie, and we, like, were so overjoyed with excitement, and then, like, we brought it up, and our attitudes got up, and we, like, knew that we could finish this game with a win.
So you end up winning it with penalty kicks, of all things. I think Annie Rasmussen hit the winning shot, if I remember. What's that moment like, Sarah, when that ball goes into the back of the net and you realize we finally have won a state championship? Walk me through the next few seconds of your life at that point.
That was just the craziest moment ever after she had scored that goal. We all just ran to her and just like jumped on top of her, and it didn't really sink in until like a couple of days after, like how big of a deal this was. Like, we made history, and we made King's history. And so that was just the best moment ever.
Very nice. Let's talk a little bit about your teammates. Well, before we do that, I want to have each of you tell me a little bit about the other player and what they mean to the team as far as a player or a teammate, leader, whatnot. And Sarah, I think I'll start with you. Tell me a little bit about Emma and what her game is like and what she brings to the team.
So I've been playing with Emma for like, I think around 4 years. And she's one of our key players, and she has the best control like I've ever seen. Like, she's able to distribute the ball really well, and she's really calm on the ball, which makes her like be able to play the through balls to Katie and things like that. And so, yeah.
Emma, tell me a little bit about Katie and what it's like to play with her.
Well, I've been playing with Katie on the same team for like 9 years for club, and then we've played obviously the 4 years in high school together, and I just like know how she plays, and she knows how I play, so we can get it to each other so easily. And Katie's just such a smart player on the field because she's been playing so long, and she absolutely loves the game. So she just works really hard on the ball, but everyone knows that when you have Katie out on the field that we're going to get goals, and she was the leading scorer this season and offensive MVP. So, which no one is more deserving. I mean, Katie gets it in the back of the net, and her hard work is like what really brought us up this season, and got us victories through the whole season.
Very nice. And then finally, Katie, tell me a little bit about Miss Nielsen down there and what Sarah brings to this team.
I honestly don't think we could have made it to where we made it without Sarah on the field. She was such a key player in every single play of the game. She was super important in that like kind of defensive mid position, as she helped out our defense and would win the ball from everyone, and then of course would use her like amazing distribution skills to get the ball up the field and play amazing balls. Also, she would win probably every single ball in the air with her head. She has amazing headers, and she's just an all-around great player. We could put her anywhere on the field, and she would do well there.
Very nice. And of course, it's not just the three of you that are on the field, so let's talk a little bit about your teammates. Sarah, maybe I'll have you start off, since I think you know a thing or two about last year's goalkeeper, your sister Maddie, who was a fantastic player for this team. Big shoes to fill there. Tell me a little bit about this year's goalkeeper as well as the defensive side of things.
So our goalkeeper this year was Grace Roberts, and we didn't really know who our goalkeeper was going to be. And then she stepped in to play that position, and she did a phenomenal job all throughout the season. And by the time we got to districts and state, she was peaking, and she was doing amazing, and that was really awesome to see. And so, I'm really thankful for her to step up. And then the defense, we had a really young defensive line this year. We had Annie Rasmussen, Emma Culberson, Rhea Custis, and Sophie Roman. And they were solid, and it's so awesome to see because that means that we have our next couple years set in the defense. So
that's a lot of freshman and sophomore names you just mentioned there, right? So yeah, definitely a young squad. And then as far as the midfield, Emma, who are we watching this year?
So coming up for the next year, we have Meg, Travis, and Lauren Blair. Lauren's a junior, and Meg will be a sophomore next year. And Meg just works really hard on the ball. She just like distributes the ball really well, and she has a really great touch on the ball. So I'm excited to see how she develops as a player, because just works really hard on the field. And Lauren is such a good teammate. I mean, every time you look at Lauren, she's smiling on the field, or she's encouraging you, or like picking you up. And just her playing with her in the midfield really helped me develop as a player, because it helped me keep my spirits up when we were down, or like just Lauren was really fun to play with, because she had such good distribution, and she worked really hard, and just was all around a really solid player.
And as far as the forwards, who was helping you up there, Katie?
So Perry Welch really stepped up this year. She was a freshman, and she came in and was put on varsity and was a starting forward. And I was really astounded at how fast she was, and how she would bring the ball up the line and beat players left and right and get off a beautiful cross. She would do it all the time, and she was such a hard worker and everything. And then also there's Callie Wright, who is a junior, and she is just amazing. She's an amazing player. She can literally have the ball at her feet and go through 5 different players and get the ball in the back of the net perfectly. And she really was known for her finishing abilities and her hard work on the field, and throughout the whole game she would never give up.
Very nice. And your coach isn't so bad either, right? Talk about Nicole a little bit, and what it meant to finally get her a state championship, and what she's meant to you, and maybe the other coaches as well. Emma, give me a little bit of a rundown on Coach.
Okay, I'll talk about Nicole a little bit. So Nicole is such a great coach, and it was so fun to get to share this with her, because I know she wanted it so bad, and she really worked with us through this season. Like, you could tell every practice she had it laid out, and she knew what we wanted to work on, or what we needed to focus on, and how we wanted to set up our set plays, and she just really developed the team really well. Like, I mean, from the beginning of the year, even you can tell, like, when we played Cascade in the beginning and we lost, and at the end we came out with a victory, like, she developed this team really well. And she really cares about her players, and she also works on helping them focus on being good people and good teammates. So we have like meetings, and we talk about what our goals are for the season, not just on the field but off the field, and how we want to grow closer as a team. So that just like means a lot to us, and it makes us feel like she actually does care about us as people and not just as players.
Very good. And Maddie, and Sarah, what about some of the assistant coaches on the squad?
Every single assistant coach that we have, just you can tell, really cares for us. And just like Gabe, they put in so much hard work to making these practices the best they can be. And they really had hope in us. They're the people that kind of like engraved that hope in each and every single one of us. Like, they wanted it just as much as we did, and that was really cool to see. Like, they told us that, like, they knew that like we could win this if we put in the hard work and dedication. So.
Very nice. And as we mentioned earlier, 2 seniors sitting next to me here. Soccer and your futures. Talk a little bit about your colleges, where you're planning on playing next year, and maybe how you got to that decision. I'll start with you, Katie.
So next year I will be playing at Westmont College in Santa Barbara. It's a D2 school, and I'm super excited to go there. It was kind of a long recruiting process throughout like club seasons, going to college showcases and having them watch me. And I really think that I made the right decision on choosing Westmont, because it's a beautiful school. It has great academics. It's a beautiful area, of course. And Nicole Gabeline, our coach, actually went and played there during college. And then also my mom went there, and my aunt and uncle also went there. So it's kind of like a family legacy.
A little bit of a history. Coach Gabeline was pretty good when she was there too, if I've heard correctly. So, and then Emma, what about you? You're staying a little bit closer to home, right?
Yeah, I am. I'm going to PLU next year, and I'll be playing soccer. And I mean, like Katie, it was a long recruiting process. I mean, it starts like your freshman year, and you start talking to coaches and seeing them at showcases, and just it's such a good feeling when you finally figure out where you want to go, and just playing soccer on top of that, like, just makes you so excited. So I started talking to the PLU coach Seth in my junior year, and then in March of my junior year I verbally committed, and it just felt really good to like figure out where I was going. And then I it was just fun, like looking more and more into the school and all the opportunities that I'll have, and it was really exciting. And I'll be going to the PLU nursing program. I'll be doing that there.
Very
so,
good. Good
I'm
for
excited.
you. And Sarah, you've got a little time, but you're a junior, so have we started thinking about it yet, or are we
Yeah.
planning on playing soccer in college?
Yeah, I'm planning on playing soccer in college. I'm in the recruiting process right now, so I don't know where I'm going yet, but I'm hoping that I can play in college. So
Okay. Either one of these two going to start working on you and trying to get you to come along with, or is that still?
hopefully.
We will see. Hey, and as far as outside of soccer, obviously, you're all, and we should, hey, really quickly, just give me all three of your club teams or your academies. Who are you playing for in the upcoming year?
I'm playing for Seattle Rain Academy.
Very nice. And
Seattle United Copa.
Washington Rush.
so three great programs there. As far as other things you've got going on in your lives, too, I want to make sure that we're mentioning that. 3 National Honor Society students, correct? And a couple of you are also involved with student government at school. Tell me a little bit about what you're involved with there, Katie. What's your role?
Well, I'm on student council for the senior class, and I'm the homecoming rep. So I mainly just like focus on homecoming season, which is like right now, and planning out the whole assembly and the like homecoming night, the coronations, the dance after, like all of that. So
And that's coming up. Is that in the next month or so? 2
it's
months?
December 15th.
December. Oh, it's that close. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll be keeping an eye on that then. And then Emma, what about you? What's your role at the school?
I'm the public relations representative on ASB, and that just kind of involves like advertising any events we have coming up, and like I'm kind of involved in homecoming and like making posters, or like I run the school Snapchat, so we like I'll post every week what we have going on this week, or like what games people should be going, like can be going to, and like times and dates, and then I like communicate with any like advisors or staff from our school, like for anything that our ASB needs.
Running the school Snapchat in 2017, 2018, that's kind of an important role. So
Thank you.
good that we've got that down. And then finally, we can't let this pass either. Katie, you're into musicals. You're going to be in your 5th musical, is that correct? Tell me a little bit about the musical that's going to be taking place this year at the school, and which musical it is.
So this year we're going to be doing Peter Pan, and they're actually in the spring, so we're kind of starting the audition process right now for it. But yeah, musicals are really fun. I've done them for the past 5 years, and they're just a fun little extra activity to do.
Very nice. And last year was Cinderella, correct? Okay, so Peter Pan coming up this year. And I heard when we were talking about beforehand, Sarah, you mentioned you've done musicals, but never at the school. So
Yeah,
no
never
chance
has.
we're going to get you in Peter Pan this year?
Nope.
Very well. So again, state championships, you're doing great in school, National Honor Society, and sounds like the future's starting to map itself out well for all of you. So again, congratulations on winning the state championship, and thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We shift our attention from one state championship interview to another. This is the boys cross country team, the academic state champions this year, bringing home another title for the Kings Knights. With us, Cameron Chu, who is a senior, Colby Crispeno, who is a sophomore. Guys, academic state champs. Cameron, this is the second time you've been a part of this group for a state championship. It has a nice ring to it, doesn't it?
It does. Second time's always better than the first.
There you go. And Colby, for this team, how important is that to win an academic state championship?
It kind of just highlights the fact that being in a sport isn't all about like doing the sport. It's also about the school side and just kind of balancing that aspect, and really not just being a good runner, but also being a good student athlete as well.
And Cameron, how do you find out that you're an academic state champion? Is that something that's announced at an assembly? Does coach tell you? Do you get called into Mr. Skeen's office in the athletic department? When do you find out that you've won an academic state championship?
Really just towards the end of the season, coach just has a meeting with us on the track before workout and says hey, by the way, we've also won academic state champs.
Very nice. So getting it done on the track or out in the field, I should say, and also in the classroom. Speaking of state and speaking of championships, you guys made it over to Pasco this year at the state championships. Cameron, you finished in 22nd place overall at state. Colby, 32nd. You guys were 16 seconds apart. 16:37 and 16:52. Pretty solid times, guys. Cameron, for you, what was that experience like? Did you have a goal going in, and if so, did you hit your goal?
Yeah, so I don't know. The progression of the season didn't go as planned for me, really. I was trying to get high sub 16 the entire season, and I kept on fallen short a little, especially at the state meet, and that was frustrating. But at the same time, that state meet, like, I gave it everything I had that day, and that's really all I could ask for. It was just a great experience being there with the team, and it was my last time, and it was the best time.
I should mention you finished 18th last year. However, you increased you sped up your time from last year. You improved by a few seconds there. And then Colby, for you, a huge jump from last year. I think I was
Yeah.
looking at some of your times. You were in the 19 range last year, and now you're in the high 16s. I've got to think you were pretty happy with the way things turned out.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't really have any expectations coming into the season. But then once the first meet came around, I had a pretty heavy off season just because kind of working out kind of fit into my schedule and it just kind of became routine. But then once the first meet came around, I kind of surprised myself and surprised my whole team and just how I was running. And then the whole the season kind of came into focus, and I was like, oh wow, I could actually hit some of these goals. So my goal for the whole season was to hit sub 17, and that's kind of what I hit at state, and I wasn't making it before any of the meets before. And once I got to state, I was so happy that I actually hit that because that was my whole goal.
Very nicely done. How important is it for a cross-country runner to have somebody compliment them out there on the in the field in terms of pushing you and being able to run with you? Obviously, it's a sport where everybody thinks of it as being an individual sport, but really it's not. Cameron, how much does it help to have Colby and maybe some of the others that are running at the school that are able to maybe kind of keep up with your pace a little bit to kind of push you and get you ready for everything?
Oh, it makes all the difference for me. Just knowing that I have especially on the line, just like warm-ups, getting ready to race together and then lining up together, just having that mental reinforcement, just having them there just makes racing, it takes the edge off of it. I don't have as much anxiety. And once we get out on the course, just knowing that they're behind me and they've got my back, it just makes all the difference rather than racing alone.
And Colby, as a sophomore and having the senior out there, what's it meant to have Cameron on your team for you?
It's inspiration, definitely, to see him out there and to see his progression throughout the years and see that he's running hit the best that he can and is pushing me to run the best I can. And personally, I have Anthony, another teammate, running right next to me the whole race. And he pushes me, and he just, whenever there's a hard moment, he's like, you got this. And really that in my ear, encouraging each other back and forth, I couldn't have done it without him. And it's just so inspiring, and it breaks down the walls of anxiety that build up during the races and before the races. And
Anthony is Anthony Hart, the junior, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and who are some of the other runners at Kings? It's not just the three of you. Tell me a little bit about who else are the members of this team. Obviously, not only great runners, but also great students, since you guys all won the state championship. Who else are we looking at?
One of the great students, Jason Lebusky, he's the only kid on our team with a 4.0.
Okay.
So he kind of bumped our GPA up pretty high.
So he's the state champion MVP, so to speak.
Yeah.
Okay, very nice.
he would bring all of his homework, like A-push homework, to every single meet. And like right before even he got on the line, he would be having his textbook open, just studying. And I don't know, just the drive in Jason is incredible. And also the drive in two people also on our team was Cody and Jeffrey. They both had injuries during the season, and they pushed through, and they had amazing PRs every single meet, and just surprised the whole team with their perseverance and run. And they just inspired me throughout every single thing they did.
Very nice. Are we missing anybody?
Well, we're missing the unofficial captain, Pierce Papke. He was the most consistent runner we had all year. He just fit right into varsity, and he was always encouraging us on and off the field, like giving us little notes in class, like before races, telling us like how good we're gonna do. And so that was just really cool to see him encourage us like that.
Very nice. Speaking of encouraging you, tell us a little bit about Coach Rod. What's he meant to this program?
Yeah, so I've been with Coach Rod for the past 3 years. I came to Kings my sophomore year of high school, and before school started, cross country started. So he was like the first faculty at Kings that I met, and I really got to bond with. And ever since then, it's just been constant development, both spiritual, mental, and athletic side of everything. He's kind of been like my role model in life, my mentor, and he's just really progressed me as a person and an athlete.
Very nice. And are we forgetting anybody or leaving anybody out? Colby, who else is helping you guys out there?
I would definitely echo what he said about Rod, but also there's Mrs. Shorak, who is on our team, who's also a coach, who really just helped me personally, especially I remember at state the night before I was extremely stressed, and I've never run at state before, and this was my first year, and I didn't know what to expect, and I really wanted to hit sub 17, like I said, and I haven't been hitting that, and just all the anxiety was just crushing over me like a wave, and she just reminded me to breathe and that I'm out here to have fun, not to look at the clock. So I just went out there at state, just ran my best and had fun. So
very good. So now that the cross country season's over, you start to turn your attention to track a little bit, and this is fairly common. We see it in cross country. A lot of the distance runners go on and do the 3,200 or maybe even the 1,600 in the spring. And I'm sure both of you in some way, shape, or form are going to be participating in those, I would imagine. Cameron, you're also a pole vaulter, correct? Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about that. That's an unusual combination.
Yeah, the distance in pole vaulting is not very common. After track season last year, our best pole vaulter, Luke Wicks, set the school record. And I watched it happen at Eastern Washington, and I was just so inspired. And so the week after track ended, I wasn't allowed to run because you need an off-season break for a little bit, just for like a week or two. And so I picked up pole vaulting, and immediately I was just naturally really good at it. So the entire past last year and this past after cross-country season ended up and working pretty heavily on getting my height up to see if I can break his school record that he set last year.
So not only do you want to pole vault, you want to go for Wick's school record.
Yeah.
Okay, very interesting.
Yeah.
Can that would be pretty impressive.
Uh-huh.
And then Colby, what about you? I noticed when I was looking online at some of your times, you've done shorter distances in the past. Are we going to expect any more of that, or are you going to start focusing more on the 16 and the 32?
I don't think I'm going to go back to the shorter distances. They're really definitely hard to balance, especially training for next cross-country season. Kind of like, it's like a push and a pull, so it's hard to balance those two. But I definitely think I'm going to be setting my eyes on the longer distances for track, just to stay in shape, but also to have fun with bonding with the new track team.
Very good. And as far as other interests in what you're doing in the classroom and at school, Cameron, I know National Honor student, is that correct?
Yep.
And then you're also very much like the last interview we did with Katie, you're also into musicals, right? Are you going to be participating in Cinderella this year?
Or
I guess it's Peter Pan, Cinderella last year, right? Okay.
Yeah, I will. Gonna audition, see where it goes, but it's my first musical. I'm normally in the fall productions, which is not singing, so we'll see how it goes.
So are you going to look for a main part in there? Can you sing a little bit?
I not on this interview, but
okay, we won't press it then.
Yeah.
And then you're also a member of the Alpine Club, I should mention. So skiing also, does that help you with
snowboarding?
Snowboarding, okay.
Yeah.
So snowboarding, do you worry about getting hurt when you're out there in terms of spring sports, or?
You know, snowboarding, your feet are locked in, so your legs are pretty well protected, which is all you really need for running. So I think I'll be fine.
Smart move, okay.
Yeah.
And then Colby, for you, you're involved with the river. Tell me a little bit about what that is and what that involves.
Definitely, yeah. Every Wednesday morning, a bunch of students from King's kind of gather in our music hall and just share scripture and just kind of worship before school. It kind of energizes everyone and sets their eyes on just like on God, which is what King's aspires to do. And it's just really inspiring to lead others in worship and kind of just see them grow on their personal spiritual path.
Very nice. So getting it done in all aspects of their life, and again, not only having a great season out in the field this year, running cross country, but also academic state champs. Cameron and Colby, thank you both once again for coming in, and congratulations on a outstanding fall. And we wish you nothing but the best in this upcoming school year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So this has been another edition of Team Kings. We thank you for watching. We'll have another episode coming up here in the near future where we start looking at the winter sports, as basketball season is in full effect right now. So we'll be talking about that. So once again, we thank Cameron and Colby, as well as Katie, Emma, and Sarah. You've been watching Team Kings. Take care.